even though it's June in North Carolina, we've decided we're going to go ahead and try and plant a few things to get growing for a quick 90-day harvest. The area we're going to use here is right behind me. We're going to turn that into kind of our growing area. We don't have the funds at the moment to put together all of our raised beds, which is how we've been planning on doing this area. But that's okay, because before we put the raised beds in anyway, I need to make sure that all this is leveled out. So one of the things I'm going to be showing you guys is a video on grading with just a cultivator and a landscape rake. So essentially what I'm going to be doing today is clearing this down. I'm going to cultivate it up and just start cultivating it to remove the weeds. And we'll also use the rake to help rake out some of the garbage that's in there. And when we're done, this should be a pretty flat, just pile of dirt. So we finally figured out where we're going to put the vegetable garden on our property, and we began clearing the land for it. We actually cut down the trees and everything in this area over the winter time. Basically what I'm doing at this point in time is I'm degrubbing where we're going to be putting the garden. The degrubbing process is taking a little longer than I was hoping it would, but we don't have a whole lot of equipment. So one of the cool things about this video is you're going to see how I degrub parts of our property by just using a small county line cultivator behind the tractor and a landscape rake. So we're basically using our cultivator to dig up the roots and some of the smaller stumps that are left behind from where we cleared the property. It's also derooting basically all the weeds, all the grass, everything in there. It's just loosening up the dirt. What we're using the hay rake for, or the landscape rake, is to go back through and kind of rake out some of the rocks and larger pieces of debris. As we go through this process, we'll be going through it with the cultivator, then the rake, and the cultivator, then the rake, and we're going to have to keep maneuvering between the two pieces of equipment until we get the ground nice and loose and free of any weeds, debris, and rocks that we can find in there. So I've been out here just tearing up the ground for a bit. So far, I'm fairly pleased with the soil. This isn't like our clay soil on the other side of the house and on most of the property. This is actually a very nice soil for planting, or at least it appears to be. The only problem that I have so far are all the rocks in there. But after I'm done breaking this up, which I've got a lot more work to do with just breaking the ground up, we'll come through here with the landscape rake and pull a lot of these rocks out of here. But so far, I'm pretty pleased with the soil that we found here. It's not what I was expecting, because the rest of our property has such a clay, hard red clay mix that this is quite pleasing. We've got a few big obstacles back in there, some big tree roots. Maybe let it rain on here to loosen up the soil a little more and cultivate a little more. So my objective at this point is just to get the ground as loosened up as possible with the cultivator. Once I have this ground really loosened up and looking pretty good, it's gonna be a bit of a process because this ground does have so many rocks and roots and tree stumps in it that pulling everything up and clearing it out and really kind of loosening up the soil, it's gonna take me a little while longer than I thought it would. So this is our cultivator, and if for those of you who haven't seen our essential tractor implements for a farm, definitely watch that video. Now we use this cultivator, which is a 3-point hitch cultivator that pulls behind the tractor. We also have a smaller hand Troy-built cultivator that we use on occasion when we're trying to work in between rows in our vegetable garden. Now this is our landscape rake. The landscape rake was also featured in our essential tractor implements. So again, if you haven't watched that video and you're thinking about what kind of tractor implements you should get, this is a very handy implement. We use it for a lot of things. Obviously we use it when we're grubbing out our land, and we also use this to level out our driveway. We've used it for all sorts of things, moving tree limbs. It's just a super handy tool to have around your ranch. One of the best 3-point hitch pieces of equipment that we have on the ranch. Over the next few episodes, we'll probably be working on this project and starting to get together our garden. We're going to be growing some fruits and vegetables that can be planted in June. Some of them are supposed to be planted a little later in August, so hopefully we'll be able to see all of that come to fruition and actually start growing something out here.